to be considered in verbal communication, which are appropriateness, brevity, clarity, ethics, and vividness. On the other hand, nonverbal communication refers to the use of body movements and does not require any spoken words in order to convey message. That's all.
Okay, very good. So those are the things that transpired in our lesson. I hope you could be able to store it in your mind just because along the way, you're going to do a lot of activities based on that lesson. Now, for this lesson, we're going to have the new lesson, of course, types of speech context. Before that, let's have our objectives. The first one is define the speech context. Second, identify the various types of speech contexts in different situations. And the last one, employ appropriate verbal and nonverbal behavior in different speech contexts. So those are the things that you will expect along the way of our lesson. Okay. Now, class, do you have your idea what a speech context is?
I think that speech context refers to the settings, ambience,
Mm-hmm.
or surrounding where the communication takes place.
Yes, very good. That is what speech context is, right? Then the setting itself, it talks about the setting, how communication is occurring, how communication or the message is being transmitted by the sender and by the receiver of the message. Okay. So according to the veto, can you please read, Lady Lynn?
Context refers to the settings in which the communication takes place. Context helps to establish meaning and can influence what is said and how it is said.
Yes. So according to Christelle, that is what? The setting itself. That is very true. Because um, it could be interpersonal, and it could be group communication. So that is the idea of what a speech context is, right? And now, the first one, as I said, is the interpersonal communication or the interpersonal speech context. Let's have Jamaica. Can you please read?
Intrapersonal. This refers to a type of communication that is focused on one person, where the speaker acts both as the sender and as the receiver of the message. The message is made up of thoughts and feelings, while the medium is the brain that processes what you think and feel.
Okay. From the term itself, class, how do you, in short definition, how could you define it based on the given definition here?
It
Sir,
is
Yeah, it
interpersonal
refers to the
communication.
person.
Sige, sige. Mark first, Mark first. Sige, sige.
It refers to the communication which is only about ourselves. Because we're communicating to ourselves, it means we are the sender and we're also the receiver of the message. We're also thinking about the feelings, the thoughts, or are we thinking?
Okay,
That's the
from the
thinking.
word itself, how other person was that, Lady Lynn?
Intrapersonal is just focus on one person.
Mhm.
That
Okay. From the word itself, intra, that means self, right? Meaning to say, you are speaking only to yourself. So you act both as a sender and the receiver of the message. Did you experience that, class, in doing interpersonal communication?
Yes po.
yes po.
yes po.
Yes
Usually,
po.
usually in what state of mind or in what condition that you are doing such communication to yourself or interpersonal
Think,
communication?
think,
When
thinking
Reflecting
of
po.
self, right?
Okay, let's have first Jamaica. Oh, Jamaica, go first.
Ano po, when my mother is mad at me and
Okay.
she tell me bad words, and I told to myself that I will not talk to her anymore.
Yeah. So that is a term that is a kind of being rebellious, right? You are having this thought in mind. Okay, just because you scolded me, I'm not going to speak with you anyway. All right. So that is speaking with yourself, right? What about the positive things?
When I am motivating myself because there are so many tasks to finish, I am
Yeah.
telling myself that I can do it and I can finish it just by just trusting myself.
Yeah, very good, right? You have to motivate yourself. If nobody can motivate you, why not motivate your own self, right? You can just tell yourself what you're saying, just like what you are saying. You can do it, no matter how difficult it is. I know I have the strength. I know I have this knowledge that I'm capable to finish this thing, no matter how difficult it is. You have to motivate it. All right. Okay, here is one example. There is a voice within you that tells you it's okay, you can still do it, you can make it. When you are losing your drive to finish the task, oh, that is a very timely just because as you can see, we are in the new normal setting of learning. And of course, you are maybe having a lot of activities that you have to do. That is one thing. Don't ever try to entertain in your mind some any bad thoughts. Okay. Now let's have here. Let's proceed the second one. Let's have Tim. Can you please read?
Interpersonal. This refers to the type of communication that takes place between and among people and creates a personal relationship between and among them. Normally, it includes two individuals and it can vary from casual and very personal to formal and impersonal.
Yeah. So interpersonal, this one refers to the type of communication that takes place between and among. It could be between and among people and creates personal relationships, right? So in short, it means what?
Um,
It involves
um, it is
more than
the
one
exchange
person.
of information between two or more people,
Yeah.
and it helps us to build strong relationship.
Yeah, very good. So that is, it could be a communication established between two people, or it could be among people, right? It could be to establish relationship, friendship, or it could be more than or beyond friendship, right? Okay. Well, actually, interpersonal, that is divided into two or classified into two. The first one we have here. Yes, baby Jane, can you please read?
Judge, judge communication. Communication that happens between two people. Example, you consoled your brother who was feeling down.
Okay. So this is the interpersonal communication wherein it happened in two people or between people. So that is direct communication. So usually if you have your brother with you, if you have your sister with you, or if you have a best friend with you, you can speak with them. No, that's okay. You can tell them if they are so depressed, you can tell them you are. That's okay. People are suffering that way. Okay? So that is one way of consoling them. That is one way of motivating them. That is direct communication. Or if you see that your classmate is having this kind of problem and it seems that he or she cannot carry that anymore, that is the moment that you can speak with them, that you can use this kind of communication. Now, the second one is let's have, okay, let me call a person. Nino, Nino,
Ay, naka-off mic po pala.
okay.
Small group. This applies to interactions involving at least three but not more than 12 people engaging in face-to-face interaction to achieve the desired goal. In this type of in this type of conversation, all participants can freely express their ideas throughout the discussion. Example, you are having a discussion with your two brothers about the surprise party you are planning for your mom's birthday.
Okay, so the first one is diet. This one is a small group. So it could be more than 3 or 10 people who are having this conversation with each other, right? So that is small group communication. In the classroom class, it happens always, right?
Yes po.
Yes
Yes
po.
po.
Yes
Yes.
po.
Yes.
Yes po.
Yes. So if you're having these group activities and you have to do it and you have to do the task all together by group, well, small group communication is happening. Okay. So that is the two types of interpersonal communication. So we down to the first one is intrapersonal. The second one is interpersonal communication. Now let's proceed with the third one. Can you please read Trixie?
So, public this type refers to a communication that enables you to send or deliver a message before a crowd. The purposes the crowd. The message can be transmitted for informative or persuasive purposes. In public communication, unlike interpersonal and small groups, the channels are more exaggerated, the voice is louder, and the gestures are more expansive because the audience is larger.
Yes,
That's the
because
Bible's way.
okay. So, what example can you give from this kind of speech context? Anybody?
Sir,
A
may I
graduate.
speak?
Let's
Ayan.
say, Tim. Oh, sige. Tim.
Like when you're in market and the surroundings that that you interact is loud.
Mm-hmm. Other example?
When you are
And
in
Yes, 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 Mark. You go first.
when when you're in stage and delivering a speech to the front of many people that you can relate with.
Yeah. Yes.
when
Graduation, having a
Yes.
graduation
Who,
speech.
who is that? Is it Dana?
Yes po.
Okay.
When
Yeah.
there is a contest in the school, then there is some groups that are cheering for them.
Mm-hmm. So that is an example.
When
Yes. Another. Yes, Nino.
Sir, when we
Um,
have a concert, especially, um, it introduces first, kumbaga may panimulang salita po muna.
Okay. Introduction. You are
Yes,
introducing.
introduction, sir.
Okay, you are giving the introduction to the performer, right? And
Yes.
another given example is the speech being delivered. Yeah, that is public. Uh, that is a public kind of speech context. And let's say, for example, you have here the meeting de avance. If you have already experienced that to attend the meeting de avance, well, of course, those who are running in the office, they are giving their platforms, they are convincing or they're persuading the people by giving those platforms just to have their votes or something. That is a public communication, right? And another thing is, uh, here another example. This is another example delivering a graduation speech to your fellow graduates, right? So that's another one. Now, for the last one, we have here the mass communication. Okay, let me have Oplin. Oplin, please read.
Mass communication. This refers to communication through television, radio, newspapers, magazine, books, billboards, the internet, and other types of media.
Okay, so the first one is public communication. As you can see there, the people is present. The receiver of the message is present right the moment the speaker is sending the message, right? So, but in mass communication class, as you can see, it could be through the form of television. Let's say, for example, you are listening to the newscast delivering the news about COVID-19, about the typhoon. That is mass communication. Or it could be the billboard. If you will go along Manila, you will see a lot of billboard, the biggest billboard. advertising product with the presence of the famous celebrity, something like that. That is the form of mass communication. And of course, the magazine itself, the books, internet, those are the forms of mass communication, examples of mass communication. So you are watching televised, that is an example. Okay, did you get it? Okay, now let's try to have the recap first before we continue. What are those type of speech contexts? Let me hear it from Christelle. Can you please cite those things and how they are differ from each other?
There are two types of speech contexts, which are interpersonal and intrapersonal. Intrapersonal refers to the communication that only focus on one person. It's like talking with yourself. While interpersonal, it is a kind of communication that happens between two or more individuals. That's all.
Yes. So that's why speech contact is quite important because it helps you communicate appropriately, understand the meaning of any message conveyed, right? So whatever type of speech contact is that. All right? Okay. Now, different speech context class, whether it is intrapersonal, interpersonal, public, or mass communication, requires different approaches. Though there might be some occasional similarities, you should at least know how to behave and respond to various speech contexts appropriately, right? Let's say when talking to yourself, you might be familiar with the feeling of quietly talking to yourself in your mind. And it's normal and it's good for you, right? Because if you are kind of, what do you call that? If you are a loop kind of person, well, that is one way of expressing yourself, okay, or talking within yourself, right? So by performing this, it makes you think and reflect on the things that you have done or are planning to do. So when you are talking to yourself, class, okay, so that is in the form of verbal and nonverbal behavior in a speech context. So there are some reminders that you need to follow. First one, use self-talk to your advantage. How would you do that, class?
Ano po, by give a motivation to yourself, cheering you up, something like that po.
Yeah, try to use the word cheer. Cheering yourself up before an important event or talking to yourself while completing a task or two perfect opportunities for yourself, right? Let's say, for example, you are in the speech contest, or let's say you are in the certain place wherein you're about to deliver a message. Then it seems that you're having this trouble to, you are getting nervous, right? Just because that is the first time, that is the very first time that you are going to deliver the speech. But then by talking to yourself, based on my experience, of talking based on my experience, right? I'm always saying, oh, you can do it. Okay. You have to remind yourself that you can do it, right? That is for your advantage. Because if you're just going to keep on shaking right there and there, chances are that you would be able what? You would be able to forget, you will get stuck on it, right? Until such time that you could not be able to deliver it very well. Okay? Now, let's have here. Don't overdo it. What do you think, class, is the idea of this? Don't overdo it.
We should not tolerate ourselves to always talk to us to ourselves only. We should be sociable, or we should talk to other people when we are feeling something or we have a problem. We also need a person that we can talk to.
Yeah. And if we will overdo it, it seems that we are just what? We're being self-centered, right?
Yes.
Yes
Yeah.
po.
Very good. We are becoming very self-centered in a way that we're just only focusing on ourselves, knowing that we also need the presence of other people. How can you grow as a person? How can you improve your personality without those people? You have to expect that whether you like it or not, you will be facing with different personalities. Whether you like it or not, the person, whether you like the person or not, still you have to embrace them. You have to give them the opportunity to speak with them because along the way, you will learn something from them as well, right? So that is just one thing that you have to remind yourself. Do not overdo it because you might also be labeled as crazy or lunatic, something like that. Okay? Just because if people will keep on telling, if people will keep on saying you talking to yourself, you might be crazy or something. Now let's have here reminders that you need to keep in mind when talking to one person in a small group. Listen carefully. How would you do that, class?
By focusing your full attention to the person who delivers the message.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Other?
We should also have responses when they are talking, like to ask clarifying questions.
Yes, right. So, needless to say, this is the very basic foundation of effective communication, right? So, you have to listen carefully and understand what the other person is saying, asking clarification or questions, and then more so, take active part. You need to be heard and understood when it is your time to speak. Do not be like that person who only wants to be heard by others without listening to them. That is a selfish act, right? Do not be like that. Then another one, check your tone and body language. Why do you think, class? Check your tone and body language. Yes, team. Do you have your
Because
answer?
when one person talk to us and our tone is very loud or our voice is very loud, maybe we interrupt what they say to
Yeah,
us, and we didn't understand.
yeah. Or you might,
Other
yes, yes. You might be saying that you might be misunderstood by the person because of the tone of your voice is very loud, right?
Yes,
Okay. Yes, Mark, what is that?
so as you've said, others might misunderstood the message that we send to them or talk to them. That's all.
Yes. Because in the delivery, knowing that we have different, just like what we have, uh, what do you call that? What we have discussed in the previous lesson, there are differences in terms of the culture of the people. Let's say, for example, we are Batangueño from Santo Tomas. It's quite normal, class, that if you keep speaking with a person in a too loud voice, that is not normal. That is the culture of Tumaseños. Tomasinos, or sorry, Tomaseño. That the Tomasinos, it's quite normal that even though they are quite closer talking, but then the tone of the voice is very loud. If you're going to do that kind of culture to other people who are different, well, definitely you will be misunderstood, right? And then another one, the body language. So sometimes we are not that comfortable to speak with others. Well, it's being shown in your body language. It seems that you are getting irritated. It's being shown on you. If you are speaking for a very long period of time, it will shown in you that in Tagalog parang di ka mapakali. So you have to check on that because there might be a wrong impression uh, that will come to the mind of the person or the group of people that you are talking to. That is one thing. And of course, these are the reminders that you need to keep in mind when talking in public. Can you please read Jamaica?
Speaking in front of the crowd requires many preparations, from analyzing your target audience to planning and drafting your speech up. to the rehearsing part. The key, therefore, is the to come prepared. Be yourself while you are on stage and speak in the way that you will be easily understood by your audience.
Yes. So that is in terms of talking of the crowd. So we have listed here three, right? The first one is talking to yourself. The second one is talking in a group or one person. Then speaking or talking to public. So it says that speaking in front of the crowd requires many preparation, from analyzing your target audience. This is what I keep on telling you, clients. If you yourself is about to deliver a speech, or let's say you are being invited to speak in the group of audience, make sure that their you know the audience well. So it's not good that we're going to use the language which is not appropriate in their level. So we must be careful on that. And then there must be a planning, the drafting of the speech, and then rehearsing. This is what I am doing always. I do the rehearse when I have this engagement to speak in the group of the people. The flow of the flow of the content of what I'm going to deliver. I do practice those things because if I'm going to do that without any preparation, definitely I would be what I might be confused, or it might give the audience a bit of confusion of what I am talking to. Okay, so class, those are the things, and I think that would be all. Do you have any question, class?
None
None.
po.
None
None
po.
No.
po.
Po.
Okay, so I
Done.
think that would be something that we call it a day. Okay, all right, sir.